Hello everyone, and in today's video we are going to discuss how to play the King's Gambit. And King's Gambit is actually pretty aggressive, pretty interesting opening, and I think after watching the video you are going to actually start playing the King's Gambit right from the start. So we are going to discuss how to play the King's Gambit by looking at a game played between Ian Nepomniachtchi, who have been selected to fight against Ding for the next World Championship title, as Magnus Carlsen is not defending his World Championship title. Very sad news for all Magnus fans. And we have the game between Ian Nepomniachtchi versus Kirill Alexenko. Both the players are extremely strong players, grandmasters, and definitely the game is going to be very interesting. And I'm going to give you a basic idea about the King's Gambit right from the start. So let's jump into the game. So Ian Nepomniachtchi playing with white pieces. I must tell you that Ian have already made a complete course on King's Gambit. That is one of the reason I am showing you his game, because his idea, as he have already made a course on King's Gambit, you already know all the ideas, mostly every idea in the King's Gambit. So Nepo starts with 1e4 and Kirill replies with e5, and it's actually pretty like if you opens up with knight f3, now we have simply a very large amount of theory. Like mostly every chess player, even if they start game, their coaches start with like this king's pawn opening. But on the move number 2, you can actually surprise your opponent by playing f4. It doesn't matter even if your opponent is a grandmaster. As we can see, Ian is actually facing a grandmaster like Kirill Alexenko, which is actually extremely strong player. f4 on the move number 2, and actually the fun part is, like, after f4 we have the King's Gambit, and this is one of the opening that your opponent, like every chess player, is not well prepared of. That is the fun part. And if you're playing with the white pieces and you are prepared, then actually you are already having an advantage. So after f4, I must tell you that there are already mostly two moves to continue the game from the black side. After f4, black can either go for capturing the pawn on f4, which looks one of the most natural option. And second, if your opponent actually knows how to play the King's Gambit, then he's going to reply with d5. Both the moves are extremely fine, but actually these are the two most common moves which you are going to face in the game of chess while playing the King's Gambit. And like the third best move, I would say, is to, for example, like playing d6. And after d6, you can continue the game by playing d3, d4, or I think perhaps knight f3 is also fine. But d4 actually looks pretty interesting move. So yeah, you are 99% of the times you are going to face one of these two moves, or else every move are bad. So after f4, Alexenko replied with d5. I have already made a video on like where Ian is playing with the white pieces and black with the black pieces. Alireza Firouzja is playing, where Alireza actually went for capturing the pawn. Perhaps, I'm not sure of it. I'm going to give you the link in the description below. You can go and check out the game. That is also one of the most fantastic and brilliant game played by Ian Nepomniachtchi. f4, d5 by Kirill Alexenko. We have e into d5, the best move, capturing the pawn on d5, and Alexenko replied with e into f4. If you try to capture this pawn with the queen, now after knight c3, I think white is already getting some good tempos, like developing the piece and also hitting the queen. The queen has to go back, and after here we can simply take, and like bishop e2, knight f3, short castle, and I think the queen is going to be targeted, and also helps white to develop his pieces. So it's already going to be a good advantage for white. That is the reason we have e into f4. If all those who are thinking what happens after e4, white can continue the game by playing d3. If takes, then queen into d3, and white is actually pretty comfortable having a good center pawn. Knight f3 can be continuation, bishop e2, short castle. It's good. And if queen into d5, knight c3, bishop b4, pinning up the knight, bishop d2, and now we are hitting the queen. So black is forced to capture the knight, and after takes, we are hitting the g7 pawns for knight f6. Now we can simply develop the pawns for the black, and now we can go for capturing this pawn. Black is forced to capture the pawn, queen e2, and after the queen trade, you can just look at it. Double pawns on the f file, and white is already at least better, I would say, as black is having double pawns. And yeah, I think it's good to be said that white is having already an advantage, like after move number 11. So yeah, that is the reason we have e into f4, the best move, and now knight f3. And after knight f3, we have bishop to d6 by queen. And many players are thinking like, why are not we going to, for capturing the pawn on d5? It's a free pawn. Definitely, guys, it's a free pawn. And after capturing the pawn on d5, black is actually going to be a pawn up. But after queen into d5, in the exchange of a pawn, white actually gets a huge amount of development. Like knight c3, hitting the queen e6, for example, check. Now white actually comes up with an excellent move, king f2, moving the king. And after king f2, it looks like white is perhaps in danger, but white is actually extremely safe on f2. Like if, for example, if bishop check, d4 is coming up. Hitting the bishop goes back. We can simply play something like bishop d5 check. Rook e1 is coming, and guys, it's already over for black. Just trust me. That is the reason Alexenko replied with bishop to d6, not going for capturing the pawn on d5. And Nepo replies with the d4, like opening up his bishops. That's the idea. c6. So basically, Kirill is the one who is offering a pawn on c6 so that in the exchange, he gets the development of the knight. Nepo is like, I don't want to do it. Knight f6, we need to check. And actually, guys, this is one of the moves that Ian actually plays most of the time, giving a check. And it's actually a pretty interesting move. Last queen into check. Kirill, black replied with king f8. And many people are already shocked after watching this move. The most common move looks like playing queen e7, going for a trade, what's happening. But guys, after queen e7, white can actually go for trading of the queen. And after, like, if bishop takes, then I think after d takes, knight takes, bishop into f4, and black loses the pawn. So black has to capture the queen with the king. Now we have bishop c4, and after takes, knight takes, bishop takes. Just look at this position, guys. First of all, double pawns on the f5. Black king have lost his castling rights. Although it doesn't matter much in the endgame as the queens have been traded, but like the f pawns are doubled. Material wise, the position is absolutely equal, and I would say the biggest advantage for white is like white is having majority on the queen side, so white can actually push his queen side pawns, and I think it's going to be pretty helpful for white to win the game. So very comfortable. That is one of the reasons that Kirill decides to move the king to f8. And now we have knight to e5 by Nepomniachtchi, jumping with the knight and also preparing to capture the f4 pawn. cd5, bishop f4, knight to c6. That is the reason, guys. Kirill didn't went for playing knight into d5 because he wanted to develop the knight to c6. Bishop f4, knight c6, and now long castle. This is I see. By playing the king's gambit, it is such an aggressive opening. Like you just need to focus on your development, sacrifice some material, and actually get a very good position. Like after long castle, Kirill made his first blunder by playing bishop to g4. Although it looks actually perfectly fine. I'm going to say why it actually looks perfectly fine move, but why it is a blunder. The best move could have been to play bishop e6 and being on a defensive side, but definitely being the defensive doesn't feel good for any chess player. Mostly every chess player wants to attack. Bishop to g4 was played, and Nepo decides to capture the knight bishop, and here we have bishop into c4, and it looks like black gave up the bishop to get the bishop. What's the problem? But the problem is king b1, and Kirill is like, okay, I'll make the position equal, simplify by capturing the knight. Queen takes, bishop c7. Black is like, yeah, material wise the position is absolutely equal. We have the opposite color bishops, perhaps the position should be equal. But no, guys, look at the main point. The king has not castle, it's extremely weak. So after bishop c7, queen f3. And after queen f3, white is actually putting pressure on the pawn on d5. And the only way to defend it is to play knight e7, which would have been the best. But I think still, after playing bishop d3, rook f1, it's still pretty hard for black to continue the game. Although, it would have been the best, but Kirill decides to play bishop b6, and black lost a pawn, queen d6, and now look at the play of Nepo. He knows how to crush your opponent. Bishop c4, developing the piece, f6, knight came to f4, like taking control of these light squares, rook e8, c3, cementing his pawn structure first. And guys, just a quick notice, like after knight f4, if your opponent goes for capturing this, rook into d4 is extremely strong move. Like after this, we have simply queen into b7, threatening a mate over here and also hitting the rook. And you can't capture this with the queen, as well as this loses the queen. That is the whole thing. Rook e8, c3, cementing his pawn structure, king comes. It looks a very bad move. But guys, the rook is completely stuck on h8. Black have to make a move. So black idea was to bring the king like here. Rook check, check, capture the pawn, clear out the rooks. And when the black king became safe, it's actually already falling apart for black. Here. And the game is over. After move number 28, after bishop b into a5, white is simply a piece up and black decides to resign the game. So guys, this was the King's Gambit, and I hope that you have liked it, and perhaps it might have helped you to improve your chess skills. And now perhaps after watching this game, you are going to start playing King's Gambit on Lichess or on any chess platform. I think it's going to be helpful for every chess player. And you can just go on and check out some games on Mega Database, watching how to play King's Gambit, and you can just watch like around 100 to 200 games, and you would already get an idea how to play the King's Gambit, and I think it's going to be very helpful for you. So guys, I'm going to come up with these interesting videos like this. So if you're new to my channel, then make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to share this video with everyone, because I'm going to come up with these interesting content like this. So guys, I'll see you soon. Till then, stay tuned and keep watching One Shot Chess.